today, and it is time again for our episode of Workplace Wellness, where we're covering topics to help you learn how to thrive and just be your best self at work, yes, but also these things apply to helping your general overall well-being, which impacts all areas of your life. So today we're going to be talking about vacations. And you think, going on vacation, I mean, that's a wonderful thing. It's very relaxing, very calming, but not always so. Sometimes there's a great deal of stress in preparing to go on vacation. And sometimes when you're on vacation, you feel that you still have to be available, answering emails and calls and things. And then sometimes when you come home, and go back to work, you're trying to catch up with everything. So it can actually create a lot of stress, can't it, Alyssa?
Definitely. I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm. I can relate to all of those.
Very much so, especially during my corporate years, where it was hard for me to disconnect. And at the time, I remember one time when I was working at BlackBerry. Imagine BlackBerry, working for BlackBerry, you had a BlackBerry. So it was hard to disconnect.
Yeah.
And it was that mentality, always on, always available. And that's what the phone does sometimes. And that's why it's very important to set boundaries and to really set those expectations. So I had to learn the hard way. It never was easy, but I had to learn the hard way because of high stress levels. And it was very hard for me to disconnect during vacation time. Like, even if I wanted to do it, it would probably take me 2 days to really decompress and be present in my vacation time. So by the time I was ready to come back, it was like, oh, now I'm relaxed. So now I have to pick up again, and I have to go into go mode again. So yes, challenging, very challenging.
So what did you do to learn how to change? What did you do to be able to change that feeling of stress and feeling that you had to be always available?
Well, first of all, accept that I was not the only one available, and that it wasn't only on me that I had to do everything. Because unconsciously, I think I had this expectation, and I think also the people that relied on me, because they saw that I was always high performer, I was always very efficient, that I would still deliver. So learn, first of all, that I couldn't do everything before going on vacation, that I would tackle whatever was most important, but I also had to learn to delegate and to say no. I can't do it right now. These are the priorities. These things I'll have to do when I come back from vacation. So learning that was very important. And yes, managing those expectations, really being able to understand what was priority, what wasn't as priority, and what could be delegated. So yes, I think that's very important.
Oh, yeah, very, very important. And it's about a shift in mindset, isn't it? Because I think a lot of the time people are afraid that if the company can manage without them, they might find they're not needed anymore, or that somebody could be doing their job while they're away and they might do it better. And their boss might think, okay, well, I don't really need you. So I think there's a lot of fear tied in with that. I remember a company I worked for one time where a couple of the guys would never take their vacation time. They just never took it. And I think it was out of that fear. And the thing is, we need to disconnect. We need, for our own health and well-being and our own sanity, we need to be able to, even when we work for ourselves. So the work that we do, it's all for us. We love what we do. We love the clients we work with, but it doesn't matter how much you love it. You still need time to just completely disconnect. I remember one client had, every time he was going to go on vacation, about 3-4 days before he was due to go, and he was, setting everything up. So it was, everything was sort of on hold while he was away, and everything was just as it should be. And then there would always be some kind of last minute drama that he will be pulled into, and then he would have to work like through the night, to get all these things done before he could even go away. And what we worked on was, his belief that that was how it was always going to be. And he didn't think it could ever change, because it doesn't seem like it's anything to do with you, is it? Does it? It seems like it's all happening, it's outside of you and they're pulling you in. But if you change your belief about that, that's not the way it has to be, and you replace those thoughts and those beliefs with, I easily prepare for my vacation, and everything's smooth, and everything goes smoothly, and I'm able to leave, and it's not stressful. You've got to reframe those thoughts for whatever stresses you're having, and even reframing the idea that I need to be always available when I'm away.
Yes.
Do you really?
Yes, definitely. I think reframing that mentality and noticing, because in some way you are attracting those things, even though you think, oh no, it's happening to me. But it's happening because in a way we are in that mindset that something wrong is going to happen, something at the end, and there is going to be drama, it's going to be hard, and we are in that type of energy, and it's unconscious. We don't want it, of course, right. But yes, and it's important to pay attention to those things. Like, for example, I remember one vacation, I worked so hard, I left everything in place. I tackled as many responsibilities, many tasks as I could. But then I went on my vacation and I got sick.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So see, by the moment I was able to finally relax, then I was sick on my vacation. And it was very uncomfortable, because it's like, okay, now it's my time to relax, to have a nice time. But it's like my system said, okay, now it's time to recuperate, but it took that toll that I got sick. So I also noticed that whenever I stop, then I would get sick. So finally, like at the beginning, I said, I learned the hard way. Then I started noticing these patterns that were hitting me hard. And and now it's time to really pay attention, Elisa, and not wait until vacation time to relax. You have to find time to disconnect from technology, time to create those spaces to relax, because it's not when I go on vacation, I'm going to relax. When I go on vacation, I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
You're so right that, and it's important to pay attention to those recurring patterns, just like with the person who, there was a sudden drama every time before he was about to leave for vacation. That also can be from a belief that, I have to be needed all the time in my job, otherwise I'm of no value. So it's like we subconsciously can set these things up for ourselves, but you are so right. It's not just about the vacation. It's about taking care of yourself all the time, so that you don't, it's like the vacation's a nice thing, it's a wonderful thing, and it's a time to get away, but it's not, you don't need it because you don't need it so badly because you haven't had any other time to yourself, throughout the rest of the year. It's just such a great reminder. But what it shows me is how much more control we have than we think we have. Now, I do acknowledge, because I've spoken to several people in this situation where they are working for a company that makes it very clear that you are expected to be available all the time, in the evening, when you're on vacation, whenever it is. And if that's the case, I think it's really important to have a conversation with yourself about, is this the right place for you? Is this something that you feel good about? Do you love your work so much that that's okay? Or is it perhaps time to think about moving somewhere where they don't have those expectations that you're available for them all the time whenever they need you?
Right.
And it depends on the job and the circumstances. Yes.
Yes, there may be periods where you need to be connected because of certain projects, launches, things like that, that require more of our attention, but it is not sustainable to keep that way 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So there are periods, like peak periods, where yes, it is needed, and maybe it happens that our vacation is during that time. Well, we do the best we can, but not every time. So those are the things that we need to start assessing and really pay attention. Is this where I want to be? And is this where I'm most value, where I enjoy myself, where I really get to do my purpose?
Yes. Yeah, that's why I think it's so important to understand the energy, the emotion behind what you're doing, because these things that we think are happening to us, we have a lot more control than we think we do. So, if you are on vacation and you're feeling that you have to be, maybe nobody's asking you to be in touch all the time, but you feel you have to be, and you're always checking your email and you're checking what's going on at work, just ask yourself, be honest with yourself, why am I doing that? Is somebody expecting that of me, or am I expecting that of myself? And is that coming from fear that I won't be needed anymore, or something like that? I think it's you have to understand, if you're staying in a job where you're expected to be available all the time, and that's not okay for you, if that causes a great deal of stress, then what is the purpose? Why are you staying there? That's not to say you need to leave right now, but you need to be honest with yourself and say, okay, what am I getting from this? Is this something I want to continue to do? And if it isn't, do I need to be looking for something else? It's just understanding yourself and why the things are happening that are happening, and your role in that, if you like, because if you don't like something, you can change it. You have to understand yourself.
Right. And for example, in my case, I thought it was the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I had situations where I changed my job, but the pattern continued. So then that made me realize that it was about me, that I needed to do some deeper work there and set some boundaries, expectations, and work on what was happening deep inside. It wasn't all about my job and the requirements of my job, but how I was behaving.
Well, and I think also there's a cultural aspect. Since I come from England, I grew up in England, and so my early working life was in England. I mean, vacation is truly important to people in England. When you start, and I acknowledge I've been away from England for a long time, so things may have changed, but this is how it was when I was working there. When you started a job, you had 4 weeks vacation time. That was just the minimum, and it went up from there. And if I was going on vacation, anybody was going on vacation, we would tell somebody in our office or wherever we worked about the most important things that might come up, so that they were just aware of anything. If anything came up, they would be able to handle it. They had all the information that they needed. And so when I went on vacation, I was on vacation. I didn't even think about work or anything. Came back to work and then just jumped right back into, where I'd left off. Just got an update from the person who was overseeing things for me. But it's, it's a very different thing. And then when I moved to the US, I found, sometimes when somebody starts a new job, they might not get any vacation time. They may just get one day, like their birthday or something. And
they may have to wait a full year until they get it. And so that's the thing too, that here in the United States, it is not regulated by law. In the contrary to European countries, even Latin American countries. So it is very different. It's a company benefit. So it varies.
Yeah.
And that's another very different dynamic there. And it also depends on the industry. There are all industries that are more there is more expectations, high stress levels,
led by deadlines and things like that.
More volatile, like technology, telecom, those type of companies.
Well, it's an interesting thing to think about, and I think each person has to ask themselves what their situation is. Is it a healthy situation? Is it causing them stress? If it's causing them stress, to really dig into why you're there, what's happening, how could you change it? Is it because of what you believe you have to do, or what has to happen, and that's the only way it can be? Because there's a lot you can change just by changing your own mindset and your own thinking. Well, our time is up once again. And, this is, since this is the time for summer vacations, this is a great time for you to be thinking about this. And, let us know if there's a situation that's going on for you that you'd like some assistance with or some guidance with. Now, next week, we are going to be talking about mindfulness. And that kind of ties into everything we've been talking about in each episode so far. But mindfulness can be really helpful, is really helpful. I think crucial for your health and well-being. So we'll talk about mindfulness in the workplace. That'll be next Wednesday, same time, same place. And I will look forward to that discussion. So thank you, Alyssa, once again.
Thank you, Linda.
And we will see you all next week. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.